Hi, I'm Jay. Welcome to Cauldron Brew. Hi, Julie.
Hello.
So we are talking about what tonight?
Um, let me see. Tonight we are going to be going over uh, the history of trick or treating, the history of how the Halloween party started, and All Souls Day and Souls Cake. Here we
All
just
right.
different
Well, I
things.
I could start with the Welsh. I know the Welsh used to for Samhain. They used to dress up in costumes, and um, that's where that came from. The soul cakes is actually the part of the trick or treating that actually comes from Ireland. The soul cakes were they're basically like raisin cookies. They would go to door, offer prayers, and then they would give them for payment for the prayers would be soul cakes, and that's Ireland.
See, that's weird because the sources that I found, soul cakes originated with the church.
Really?
Yeah, during that time when Christianity took over, they took, with Samhain and everything, it had it to where was it? Soul cakes was encouraged by the church as a way to replace the ancient practice of leaving food and wine for the roaming spirits. The practice was referred to as going a souling and was eventually taken up by children who would visit the houses in the neighborhood by being given ale, food, or money.
Mm.
So it's to where that's interesting how with yours, and then the research I found has that it's, but back in the day, how how can we really know the true, history
Right.
of it since it started over 2000 years ago? Oh,
Right.
and
Uh,
things have changed over time and
Another
stories
thing.
and
Yeah. Another thing that the Irish used to do is they would have a silent supper to honor the dead,
yes,
to hear the dead speak with them. It would be silent. And that is your, oh, what the hell is that called again?
the dumb supper.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes,
I do it every
that's
year.
out of Ireland too. That comes out of Ireland
Yes,
as well. But yeah, the
yes,
whole trick or
it was
treating
interesting.
thing, dressing up, that's Welsh. That's Welsh Celtic, and then some of the other aspects is Irish.
Oh yeah, it's how it all back then. It was all one thing, and then as the church got involved, and the they turned to, oh, I don't know the exact terminology, but I don't want to say Christian Celts,
Uh huh.
but they blended together and formed that, and then they came over when they started migrating over. I think it was, I had to have all these papers because I am not good with dates and everything. But because I know with trick or treating, I don't know the exact word for it. Well, I do, but I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Was guising, Guising. It was for in Scotland and Ireland.
I
That's what it
I'm
that
a,
Yeah, that's what it used to be called. Because I don't know the exact pronunciation. I'm probably messing it up, but that was back in the day.
poison. Yeah, I.
Poison.
What was it? Yeah, what was that?
It was that's what they would refer to as what we call nowadays trick or treating.
Oh, I
Yeah, the
my
it said, yeah,
like when I did
what was
digging
it?
into it, it was Wells that did the whole. They would have like a community party. They would mingle with the spirits, so to speak. That was in
Right.
Wells.
But see,
That's
that's what I
from
was
my
going.
sources.
Right. Oh yeah, because see, with mine, it's to where because I like knowing about all the different cultures because I was diving into all different aspects. And that's what that one came up, because they also had the back then I had the young people dressing up and going door to door, excuse me, looking for food or money in exchange for performing songs, poems, or quote other tricks. So that's how they would do that. But back in the day, that's what it was called. I don't know the exact time frame, but I know that's where with Ireland and Scotland would have that. But it's interesting learning, the different things.
Yeah, it's interesting. Who knows?
Right.
Be any of that.
Well, yeah, well, because all different parts of the world, I'm sure, celebrated their own way.
Yeah,
With different
like
festivities, different times.
even though they're all Celtic people, they all had different languages. To this day, they have different language. Like Irish, Scottish, and Scottish is different from Welsh. Welsh is different from them, and but there's similarity between Scotland and Ireland. There's similarities there, but there's no similarities with the Welsh in their language.
Right. Well, yeah, well, all the different dialects are, well, you figure our English is different than England's English.
Mm-hmm.
Ours is sloppy, according to what I've been told, because we're more relaxed and we don't pronounce things right.
Mm-hmm.
So, but, it's, with just different. So that was the trick or treating, what I could find. There's so many avenues out there for it, trying to distinguish fact and what's made up is not the funnest. But then there was what was the other one, how it came to then with the parties. How was, let me see, yeah, because in the 1800s to where they would they brought it over,
Mm-hmm.
they would solely celebrate it as more of a fall festival, and with everyone getting together and doing different things. And then as it progressed through the years, the church didn't want it so full of the pagan tradition with witchcraft. They associated that stuff with witchcraft and the ghoulishness, the evil spirit supposedly that came about. And it wasn't until, what did I have down? It wasn't until between the 1920s to the 1950s, the century-old practice, it blended in with trick-or-treating. That's when things started to really bloom out to what we have now.
Okay.
Which was interesting, that how far back that they took it, of how the church always tried to take the pagan traditions and morph it into their thing and turn it to where more of a celebration, and then they just went from there. But the only ones that I know out of here, I don't know all the religions that are over here in the States, but I know the ones that solely do not are the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah.
But they don't celebrate
much of
any of
any-
the holidays.
Yeah, not
No.
even birthdays.
No, I remember my one, long ago, my one babysitter that when I was going to kindergarten with her daughter, she would watch me because both my parents worked. They were Jehovah Witnesses. And for the birthday, my mom had a gift wrapped up, and the mother said, "We can't accept that." And my mom didn't understand why. And she says, "We don't celebrate it that way. If you take off the wrapping paper and just give it to her, you can do that."
Mm-hmm.
So it's strange how different forms, because not everything is religion. So, but just different ways, I'm trying to find the right word, but just how different ways celebrate it or don't celebrate. And it's like
Yeah,
All Souls Day, because
that was
that
a church
one,
thing.
yeah, the All Souls Day, praying during the festivities, poor citizens would beg for food and families would give them pastries called soul cakes in return for the promise to pray for the family's dead relatives. And then it was the distribution of soul cake was encouraged by the church, as I said earlier, to replace ancient practice of leaving food and wine.
I've never heard that concept.
Yeah,
Nope.
the
I,
church, well, when I'm just saying, didn't you?
no.
Yeah, that one, I have the links for that one. But it's interesting with how a lot of things started off with the Celtic. But then as soon as the church started integrating and taking over Ireland and different France and different parts of England. Well, England it already was, but when they started spreading out, they would uh, take the pagan festivities and morph it into theirs. Maybe originated
Uh
back
huh.
with the Celtic, but then the church switched it because they wanted to root out anything pagan. So they changed it all to their ways.
Tendency of doing that.
Right, exactly. So that way, with taking, that's why history is really hard to find accurate information, because the church had a way, and still does, to take what was back then, even if something was written, was gone, was destroyed
Yeah.
most times. And then whoever they had would write about it, but it was with prejudice because they weren't of the pagan faith. They were Christian.
Yeah.
So it's interesting with how
Already know that the church is going to take credit for a lot of things, even on things
well, they
that
always have and
they
they
did.
always will.
Yeah, on things that
Right.
weren't theirs
Well, it's just like
originally.
with
They're like, oh,
Yule.
we did this. Right.
Right. Well, yeah, just like with Yule, turned it, the birth of, Christ. That wasn't his actual birthday.
Nope.
But, they turned it into, just like Halloween is nowadays, so much marketing for candy and costumes. And it's actually not what it's about. But a lot of people don't care to know, don't want to know
Mm-hmm.
of what it actually is supposed to be. Because that's why I figured with this month, with the veil thinning as time goes on, with our ancestors, and that's why I wanted to just touch base, because there's a lot of information out there for researching and taking the time. I'm just glazing over what's actually out there. But there's so much information to learn about the past and where things come from, the origin of them, and why they were celebrated, not just by one culture, but by many.
Right. It yeah, they all had different customs for it.
They did. It's just
I'm
like,
trying to
you know,
find right now for this, so I could actually read this off.
well, is it in your Druid workbook?
It might be on the website.
Well, yeah, because see that well, yeah, with that thing, it's so many pages.
Because they talk more on the about the Welsh.
Well, yeah, well, that's I mean, they're biased, not meaning any disrespect, but just because it's their area, they're not going
Yeah,
to bring in other things of it,
yeah,
of other
but I
cultures,
could give
or
you
who did what.
that point of view. Um,
Right.
there we go. Most people have some awareness of the origins of the fire festival of Samhain, the in common parlance as Halloween. Samhain is the word for November in Gaelic, Irish, to be derived from Sam Féin, meaning
Right.
uh, the modern celebrations of Halloween are derived from the tradition. No doubt similar traditions around a festival of the dead existed. More than anything, the modern celebrations are influenced by importing of North American practices, which are distortion and an adaptation of customs in the world, primarily by the Irish and Scottish immigrants. In terms of modern paganism, the main themes of this fire festival are as follows. At this time, and the natural world appears to be dying. Mabon, or it passes beyond maturity into death, and the other world archetypes retake place as goddess. This is otherwise symbolized by the time of the crone hag or Gallic, who will reemerge in spring, youthful form of the goddess. This was also a time of the harvest, Samhain being the last of the three harvest festivals, and the time at which animals were culled prior to winter. The festival of the dead acknowledged the ancestors and the dead in general was central to Samhain celebrations, and offering of food were commonplace throughout styles. A person's failure to pay appropriate respects to the dead, eating offerings of food, was felt in themselves as being ostracized from such festivity when they too became deceased. And precautions such as throwing out all dirty water and prior attention to the hearth were observed. The consequences are described in the Irish myth. Uh, don't ask me to pronounce this because it's Irish.
Right.
Where and spirit spits water over the members of the house has entered, causing their death. Funeral games and divination. This was also a common time of visions. Again, this Irish, again being a prime example, is a vision of the possible events of Samhain. A year hence, an attack on the King's Dun residence, the fairies. This was common time to play divinary or perform divination charms, particularly related to indeed the fruit loaf that translates into Irish. I don't know.
Right.
Containing a mock wedding ring is such customs and is still commonly eaten in Ireland today. Trickery, cross dressing, particularly of young boys to confuse potential among the she was common. Suspension order in time, removal of odors, movement of signs of the removal of barriers between the material and otherworldly realm. Such activities, such as are descendants of the again another Irish word that I don't know. A group of this revealers who represented the spirits of the dead, accompanying the land in the form of a mock horse character, their brand, or the white mirror, apple bobbin, the early apple games, apples being a clear link in Celtic mythology, sacrifice. The slaughtering of animals at this time was highly practical, but it is also offerings were made to the gods to ensure the return of the vital force and to protect people and their means of survival through winter months. Sacrifice of pigs was common into medieval era. And it is like earlier times, humans were sacrificed. Archaeological remains support this theory. Sacrificial rites remain even now in the form of bleeding for St. Martin, a rites form of sacrifice of a hen or a rooster at the beginning of November. Sacred fire. It is common custom to light Samhain or Halloween fires even now for Celtic people of all regions. However, in the UK, the date has been displaced to November. In oh fuck, I can't even talk. Of the commemoration. Thank you. Yes. Of the attempted blowing up of the English houses of Fox in 1606. The tradition of Samhain fires of English houses of Parliament by Guy. Oh. The tradition of Samhain fires is recorded as directly Samhain fires of whatever word that is Irish again, which Hill of Ward in County Math. Although it is likely that similar fire traditions existed throughout the British Isles, the Druids lit a sacred fire new moon, end of October, start of November. It was on the horizon from Tara, 12 miles away. Perhaps the Tara fire was lit. Again, I don't know this Irish word because I don't know Irish. Was seen or the fire was brought from someplace to Tara by boat and long crew. After that, many Druids in Ireland believed this to be true. Though this is impossible to prove in yearly. Something was Irish word was the sacred place of the Druids. Tara was the seat of the Ard Rí, or the High King, who feasted surrounded by the Rí Tooth, provisional kings, and the Flatha, which is the nobility, demonstrating the unity and stability of the people at this time as chaos threatening the forces within nature. However, it was where the first fire was lit at this time, and then of the Tara fire the fires would be lit all over. The sunrise and moonrise at Saw form an alignment from such to quartz stand whatever place. I'm sorry, I don't know English. I don't know Irish, so bear with me. Yeah, they have a lot of Irish words. Suffice to say, it's a pretty long article that they wrote. More about it, go ahead, go to druidry.org and look Samhain, and it'll be under the
Right.
art
Oh, Jay,
of Halloween. Yes,
is it me or your video is gone?
my video is gone.
Well, I meant like your
Uh,
picture.
Oh, it might be you
Oh,
because I'm watching the YouTube.
okay. So we're both
That
there.
nobody comment. If somebody comments, I can catch it.
Right. So we're both there. It figures it would be mine.
Apparently, Julie is
There
having
you
some
go.
technical issues. But yeah,
Well,
suffice
no,
to say
you're
that
back.
article is long, and if anybody watching or even Julie wants to druidry.org and look up Samhain and under an article called "The Ancient Roots of Halloween."
Right. Can you hear me though?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Description for the live later.
Well, yeah, in the comment, yeah, in there to where the sources are and stuff is always good. Because I got a lot of mine off of the history. It's like history.com, like the history channel, and they go through all their sources, which are usually 10 to 15 different sources that they go through to get all the information.
I would love to start having the fire festivals, but I can't have a fire because I have no yard.
Yeah, that would not be good.
No.
So
Else was there that you wanted to add? I shared the
that was right. Well, no, that was it, really. Because next week would be, oh, I have it all written down because there's different things of it. The Black Cats, Ghost, Witches, Matchmaking, and Lesser Known Rituals of this time of the year.
Oh, that's for next week.
Yeah.
I don't know where the Black Cat thing came. So, some of that stuff actually comes from. So you're gonna have to take over on that one. I can speak on the origins of Halloween with Samhain and my participations. But there was one that would be for next week that we could talk about rituals of some. Yeah, rituals. I could talk about some of the rituals that I've done for some.
Was the lesser known ones that from back in the day, or different things that you've practiced, or things that that I've done around this time of year since I with working with the dead and also the ancestors. So, but yeah, that one's for next week. So I figure for the month of October, fill in different things of it.
So is that all you got?
Start getting into that. Yeah, for this one, yeah.
That's all I could share. So if anybody else has any other things to place it in the comments below the video, and we'll read or join us on Discord.
Yes, if you have links to other factual places, other sites that give more information, but please let it be factual.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, everybody, have a good night, and thank you for tuning in with us.
And we'll see you next week.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.